Welcome back to the Rhode Show. My mouth is still full of the chocolate. I think all of us are going to have a problem with the buzz this morning because of the chocolate in our
Because
mouth.
we're buzzed.
You know, it's that time of year.
Yeah.
For chocolate and for nativity scenes and Christmas and holiday displays are going up all across the nation, but some may be taking it a little too far. For example, in California, a boutique has put up an interpretation of the Virgin Mary and a child in provocative clothing. Wow. So I believe that's Mary there. And, oh, there she is. And, you know, kind of some clothes that may not be entirely, she's wearing a short skirt and, you know, whatever.
You may be offended.
It can be perceived as offensive because this is the mother of Jesus. So a lot of people don't want to see her maybe get a little more covered up, perhaps. And everyone in the nativity scene is wearing clothes from the store. In another and probably more shocking display, Jesus is depicted with a shotgun. And Santa is on the ground. Now, the owner says it's done with humor and that Santa represents consumerism. Of course, neighbors say they are offended, they want it taken down, but the owner says it's just freedom of speech. So what do you guys think of this? These kinds of displays?
Well, you know, I mean, here, my major problem as a person that's next door to a house like that, are the lights too bright and are they shining through my window while I'm sitting?
Okay, so if they're disturbing someone else.
If they're disturbing me next door, I'm annoyed. There's no lights on Santa on the ground. That being said, if a kid underneath the age of whatever sees that, they're going to be like, what is Jesus doing to Santa?
Well, and I don't think it necessarily has to do with children necessarily, as much as it's, you know, these are sacred, holy people to a lot of people who follow different religions, and it can be perceived as offensive. The other thing, though, is other people would say, listen, this is free speech. I should be able to do, you know, we live in a country where you can do that sort of thing. In other countries, if you even draw Muhammad in a cartoon, you could be stoned to death.
Yeah.
So there are certain freedoms that we enjoy here, but have people taken those freedoms too far?
That's why we have separation of church and state.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for it, but, you know, and some people may get mad at me for what I'm about to say, but I defend the right to do it.
Yeah.
As long as it isn't riotous, it doesn't cause a riot.
Right.
I think it's, you know, it's easily explainable with a child. If you happen to be with a child, you explain, you know, what's going on, that this is not what we believe. This person is doing this to try to get some sort of effect out of something.
Right.
And you move on.
And I think that's the main thing. I mean, you're trying to be provocative because clearly you're using figures that are reverent and holy and sacred in a way that is, you know, banal.
It's very adult humor, but it's in a venue that is for children. I mean, that should not be there because there are. I mean, that's there for the kids.
Well, but you know what? I just think the bottom line is this: the more attention you pay to it, the more they make out.
Well,
the more you ignore it, it goes away.
And here's the other place I have to disagree with you. You know, I don't think you set up a nativity for the kids. I think you set up a nativity to say this is the true meaning of Christmas.
That wasn't a nativity.
You use Jesus, you use Mary, you use the baby Jesus, you know, to say this is really what Christmas is all about. So it's sad when that's prostituted in that.
No, and you're absolutely right. But again, you know, we live in a country with free speech and separation of church and state.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up because Courtney Caligiuri, I even know of different schools and stuff that are selling pins that say it's okay to say Merry Christmas to me because a lot of people are saying Happy Holidays so as not to
schools are selling that?
Different
I didn't hear
schools.
that.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Very
Really?
intense, huh? That's
Because my kids' school, you cannot even bring up anything religious, which I find ridiculous.
Very interesting.
What do you think, Courtney?
Well, you know, I don't know. These displays, I don't know how I'd feel if I lived next door. I do understand, you know, the independence of freedom of speech and things like that, but that particular display does disturb me a little bit. I'll read about 2 comments off the live blog, and we have about 10 on Facebook. Let's see what we can get through. This one's from Lisa. She says, maybe to the person who did this, it's on his property, and it may be an expression of art to him, but I don't think it's nice, especially for kids to see. I think it's horrible. And this one's from JB. He says, what does this guy do for his Halloween display? You know, if he's doing this for Christmas. Here's a look at our poll on foxprovidence.com. What do you think of controversial Christmas displays? A, it's art expression on private property, or B, it's taking the holiday way too far. And here's a snapshot of Facebook, and a couple of people are saying we're giving him exposure, that's what he wants, but most people are saying enough with the violence, you know, enough already. But weigh in a number of ways. I'll be back in about 30 minutes with your poll results. For now, back to the kitchen. Lily, what's happening?
I'm doing